Have you ever had the feeling that you're a ghost at the feast of your own life? You're there. You're breathing, you're working, you're smiling, but you're not really there. It's a quiet, creeping dread that the days are slipping through your fingers like sand, and the person you were meant to be is watching from a distance, disappointed. This feeling isn't a symptom of failure, it's a signal, a wake-up call from the deepest part of your soul. And the legendary psychologist Carl Jung had a name for this journey of answering that call. Part 1. The invisible prison you live in every day. Have you ever felt a strange, invisible weight on your shoulders? A quiet pressure that guides your choices, dictates your words, and shapes your very desires? We all live inside a prison. It's the most dangerous prison in the world because it has no bars and its walls are utterly invisible. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but you feel its presence in every moment of quiet doubt. It is a prison built not of stone and steel, but of expectations, a cage meticulously crafted from the words should, must, and have to. Let me tell you about someone we'll call James. To the world, James is the embodiment of success, a high-powered lawyer in a glass tower with a corner office overlooking the city. He wears tailored suits that cost more than most people's rent, and his handshake is firm, confident. This is the life he was told he should want, the career he should pursue. But sometimes, in the late afternoon, when the city lights begin to glitter like scattered diamonds, James stares out the window. He doesn't see the skyline. He sees the gnarled branches of an old oak tree from his childhood. He can almost smell the sharp, clean scent of freshly cut wood, feel the satisfying heft of a hammer in his hand. He always wanted to be a carpenter, a creator, but the script society handed him had a different role for him. And so, surrounded by markers of success, James feels a hollow ache, a profound loneliness. He is a ghost in the story of his own life. This is the power of the script. From the moment we are born, we are handed this text, written by generations of well-meaning but often fearful authors, our parents, our teachers, our culture. We are assigned a role to play, and for the most part, we play it astonishingly well. We learn our lines, we wear our designated costumes, we hit our marks day after day, year after year. We become actors in the story of our own life, forgetting that we were meant to be the author. Why do we cling so desperately to this script, even when it feels like it's suffocating us? Imagine it's like a childhood security blanket. When you were small, it offered warmth, comfort, and a shield against the monsters under the bed. It was essential. But you've grown, and now that same blanket is too small. It doesn't cover you anymore. It constricts you. It tangles around your legs when you try to stand, and it smothers you when you try to breathe. Yet, you clutch it tighter, terrified of the momentary chill of true freedom, the crisp air of the unknown. This script offers a tempting bargain. It provides the comfort of a pre-paved road. Following it gets you nods of approval, likes on social media, and the next step up the corporate ladder. But the price of this approval is devastatingly high. Because when the applause comes, when the likes pour in, a bitter aftertaste lingers. You slowly realize they aren't applauding you. They are applauding the mask. The love you receive is addressed not to your soul, but to the role you play. It's the unique agony of being celebrated for someone you are not, a loneliness that bites deepest in a crowd that is cheering for your performance. You have traded the vast ocean of your potential for a calm, predictable, and soul-crushingly small fishbowl. But what if the greatest tragedy isn't that we are given this script? What if the real tragedy is that we never question it? What if the most powerful, brilliant, and authentic part of you is born from the very act of burning that script to the ground? That sacred fire I mentioned, the one that burns the script, that is the moment of conscious rebellion. Not a rebellion of anger, but a rebellion of truth. It is the holy moment you finally look at the comfortable cage and realize its safety is also its curse. This is the beginning of what the great psychologist Carl Jung called individuation. It is not a journey toward selfishness. It is the sacred, often difficult journey of becoming who you truly are. It's the process of clearing away all the debris of expectation so that the unique, God-given blueprint of your soul can finally see the light of day. It is the ultimate act of responsible stewardship over the one life you have been given. But to even begin this journey, to find the key to this invisible prison, you must first meet its warden, a warden so clever, so effective, and so close to you that you've never even recognized them as your jailer. They are the perfect, smiling gatekeeper you created yourself. What if I told you that the biggest obstacle to your freedom, the one thing standing between you and your authentic self, is the very face you show to the world every single day? In the next part, we'll unmask this powerful imposter. Part 2. The perfect mask that's suffocating you. That we would unmask the warden of your invisible prison, the architect of the cage of expectations. Go and stand before a mirror. Look closely. The warden is the face staring back at you, not your true face, but the one you've perfected for the world. The great psychologist Carl Jung gave it a name, the persona. It's the polished mask you wear, your masterpiece of social navigation. It is your job interview self, confident, capable, and completely unflappable. It's your first date self, charming, witty, and perfectly agreeable. It is your I'm perfectly fine, thank you self, even when your inner world is crumbling. This persona is a brilliant and even necessary creation. Think of it as a social skin. It protects your vulnerable true self from the harsh judgments and abrasive realities of the world. It allows you to function, to collaborate, to maintain harmony in a complex society. We all need one. Without it, we would be like exposed nerves, raw and defenseless. But here is the devastating paradox that most people live their entire lives without ever realizing. This mask, this very tool designed to help you connect with the world, is secretly the primary cause of your deepest, most gnawing loneliness. How can something so essential for social survival be the very thing that isolates your soul? The answer is more unsettling than you might imagine, and it lies at the heart of the invisible prison. The problem isn't having a mask. The problem is when the mask fuses to your skin, when the actor forgets they are playing a role. You spend years, decades even, pouring your precious energy into maintaining this flawless facade. You polish it, you refine it, you become an expert in its upkeep, but in doing so, you slowly lose touch with the person underneath. Think of it. Picture a scene. It's your birthday. The room is warm, filled with the soft glow of candles on a cake. The faces of your friends and family surround you, all smiling, all singing that familiar song. The sound swells, a chorus of affection directed entirely at you, but the sound doesn't land. It feels like it's hitting a glass wall an inch from your face, vibrating there but never truly reaching you. You play your part perfectly. You smile that wide, appreciative smile. You nod, maybe even mimic wiping away a tear of gratitude. But inside, a cold, hollow ache begins to spread through your chest. You realize, with a sudden, gut-wrenching clarity, they aren't singing to you. They are singing to the version of you they know. The reliable, pleasant, successful version you've so carefully built for them. And the real you, the one with strange hobbies, inconvenient emotions, and unpopular opinions, is just a ghost at its own party, starving for one single moment of genuine recognition. This is the source of that ghostly feeling we spoke of. When the applause comes, the promotion, the praise, the admiration of others, you hear it, but you don't feel it, because the applause isn't for you. It's for the mask. The true self, the neglected soul hidden backstage, hears nothing but a hollow echo. It is starving for one glance that sees past the performance. This is the ache of being a celebrated stranger in your own life. You are being a poor steward of the very soul you were given to protect, sacrificing its nourishment for the sake of an illusion. So, let's return to that haunting question: why does this mask, meant to build bridges, ultimately leave you on a deserted island? Because it acts as a filter for love. The approval you receive when wearing the persona is, by its very nature, conditional. It's not for you, it's for the character you play. It's like receiving a beautifully wrapped gift, a testament to your worth, only to discover it's addressed to someone else's name. You can hold the gift, you can admire it, but the warmth of it being truly yours never reaches your heart. You can be in a room full of people who claim to love you, yet feel entirely, utterly unseen. Because you know in the silent depths of your being that they are in love with your representative, not your reality. But this mask does more than just hide who you are. It serves a more active, more powerful purpose. It is a guard, standing vigil at a locked door. It was created to repress something. But what if we were to tell you that the very things you were taught to fear and despise about yourself are not your shame, but your strength? What if the key to your vitality, your creativity, and your authentic power lies not in a brighter room, but behind that very door you've been guarding your whole life? In the next part, we will dare to do what you've always avoided. We will walk down the stairs, turn the key, and open that basement door to meet the greatest secret you've ever kept. Part 3, the terrifying secret you hide from yourself. We have dared to turn the key. We have pushed open the heavy door. Now, we stand at the threshold of the basement of your psyche, the air thick with the scent of forgotten things. Down here, in the quiet dark, lives everything you have ever disowned about yourself. Every impulse, every thought, every feeling that didn't fit the pristine, perfect mask of your persona. The great Dr. Jung gave this hidden collection a name: the shadow. It is the raw, volcanic anger you were taught was impolite, so you buried it under a smile. It is the sharp pang of envy you feel when a friend succeeds, a feeling so shameful you immediately pretend it isn't there. 'Tis your lazy desire to simply stop, to rest, to do nothing in a world that screams, you must always be productive. It is every weird fantasy, every selfish need, every weak vulnerability. These are not monsters. They are the orphan children of your soul. You cast them out because you were told they were unlovable, and you locked this door, praying no one would ever discover what lay behind it. But here is a fundamental truth of the soul, a law as certain as gravity. You cannot destroy energy You can only transform it. You cannot eliminate the shadow. The more you ignore it, the more you starve it of conscious attention, the more powerfully it seizes control of your life from behind the scenes. It becomes a puppet master, hiding in plain sight. In fact, have you ever met someone for the first time and felt an immediate, almost chemical and deeply irrational dislike for them? A revulsion so intense it startles you? The reason for this powerful reaction is almost certainly hiding in this very basement, and understanding it is the first step toward true self-awareness. When the shadow is ignored, it does not simply lie dormant. It must find a way to be seen. So, it projects. Imagine your mind is a film projector in a dark room. The shadow is the reel of film you refuse to watch. So, your mind cleverly points the projector outwards, using the entire world as its screen. Suddenly, you begin seeing your own disowned qualities everywhere. You are infuriated by the arrogance of a coworker because it mirrors the healthy, confident ambition you were taught to suppress in yourself. You become hypercritical of the laziness in your child because you have denied yourself even a moment of necessary rest. You see your own unexpressed anger in the sharp tone of your partner, even when it isn't there. This is the shadow's ultimate trick. It runs your life by remote control, making you point fingers at everyone else for the very traits you refuse to face in yourself. This isn't just a psychological quirk, it's a profound moral challenge. It's a form of self-deception that prevents you from becoming a whole, integrated person. It is a failure of honest stewardship over your own character. So, that instant irrational hatred we spoke of, that is a shadow projection in its purest form. That person you despise is not your enemy. They are an unwilling messenger. They are a living, breathing mirror, reflecting a piece of yourself that you have buried alive. The intense irritation you feel is not truly about them. It is the scream of a part of your own soul, begging to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be brought out of the darkness and into the light of your consciousness. As Jung so wisely said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. This is not a license to indulge these dark traits. It is a sacred invitation to understand them, and in doing so, to gain mastery over them instead of letting them master you. It is the courageous act of taking responsibility for the entirety of your inner world. So here we are, caught in a silent, exhausting internal civil war. Above, you have the perfect smiling persona, a mask of acceptability, polished to a high shine. Below, you have the rejected, raging shadow, leaking out in projections that poison your relationships and your peace. But what happens in the vast, contested space between these two opposing forces? What is the true cost of this war? The cost is more than just stress or unhappiness. The casualty is your life force itself. It is the slow draining of your vitality, the fading of your authentic self into a pale imitation. And in the next part, we will explore the most tragic consequence of this conflict, the constant, haunting presence of the ghost of the life you were truly meant to live. Part 4. The ghost of your unlived life. In the silent, exhausting civil war between the perfect mask you show the world and the shadow you hide in your basement, we must now ask the most important question of all. What is the true casualty? What is lost in this endless conflict? The cost is not simply your peace of mind. It is not just the energy you burn maintaining the facade. The true price you pay is measured in ghosts. Because for every choice you made to please the world, For every yes you uttered when your soul screamed no, you created a phantom, a specter of the life you turned away from. This is what the great Dr. Jung called the unlived life. It is the ghost of the artist you could have been, the one who died a quiet death the day you accepted that sensible office job. It is the ghost of the world traveler you might have become, the one who vanished when you allowed fear to clip your wings and chain you to the familiar. It is the ghost of the passionate lover, the one who could give and receive love with terrifying, beautiful vulnerability, who you locked away after your first heartbreak, vowing to never be that foolish again. Do not make the mistake of dismissing these as mere daydreams or wistful fantasies. They are not. They are real. They are fragments of your soul's blueprint abandoned on the side of the road. Each one is a pocket of pure, vibrant psychic energy that now has nowhere to go. And this energy does not simply disappear. This unlived life is not a passive memory you occasionally visit. It is an active, haunting, and powerful force in your present. It is the hidden engine behind the sudden, baffling midlife crisis. It is the secret source of that low-grade, inexplicable anxiety that hums just beneath the surface of your busy days. It is the true name for the crushing wave of depression that can pull you under even when everything in your life looks perfect on paper. But here is the secret, the twist in this ghost story that changes everything. What if this haunting is not a curse? What if it is, in fact, a rescue mission in disguise? How can a ghost, a symbol of what's lost, be the very thing trying to save you? Think of those moments of quiet. The ghost of your unlived life is the sharp, hollow ache you feel when you see someone else living your dream. It's the sudden, sour taste of bitterness that rises in your throat when you witness another's courage. Your soul is a sacred, balanced ecosystem. By denying entire continents of who you are, your creativity, your righteous anger, your need for stillness, your capacity for wild joy, you have created a profound vacuum. And this vacuum is filled with the sorrowful rain of what could have been. You are not just living one life. You are being haunted by all the vibrant lives you have refused to live out of fear. So, how is this a rescue mission? Because the pain is the point. The agonizing ache of the unlived life is the only force on earth powerful enough to finally make you question the prison of your persona. The ghost isn't trying to frighten you into despair. It is trying to love you into wholeness. It is your soul's desperate last-ditch alarm bell screaming across the desolate landscape of your compromised life. It's not too late. The path you abandoned is still here. Turn around. Come back and claim me. This pain is a profound grace. It is a severe mercy designed to shatter the comfortable illusion before your time runs out. The ghost isn't dragging you back into the past. It is pulling you with all its might toward your authentic future. This alarm bell is a call. It is an invitation to the greatest adventure you will ever take. Not an adventure to a foreign land, but into the uncharted territory of your own soul. It is the call to become a steward of your own wholeness, to gather the lost fragments of yourself and become the person you were always meant to be. But how do you even begin such a sacred journey? When you've spent a lifetime walking in one direction, what is the very first step you must take to turn around? In the next part, we will reveal the single most powerful, transformative decision you can make, the one that stops the haunting and finally begins the healing. Part 5. The terrifying and beautiful first step. You have walked through the hall of mirrors of your own life. You have met the perfect, polished mask you show the world. You have peered into the basement where your disowned shadow resides, and you have been haunted, tormented by the ghost of the life you were meant to live. After such a journey into the depths, one question echoes in the silence. What now? Where do you go from here? The answer is not a complex 10-step plan. It is not found in a book or seminar. It is the single most terrifying and most liberating decision a human being can make. The first step on the path to reclaiming your soul is to simply stop running. That's it. To stand still in the middle of the battlefield of your own life and make a conscious, unwavering choice. To turn around, take a deep breath, and walk back towards the haunting. It is the sacred vow you make to yourself. I will no longer live a life split in two. I will no longer be a stranger to myself. I will go down into the basement of my own accord. I will face the things I have hidden, not as an enemy to be conquered, but as a long-lost part of myself coming home. This sounds heroic, doesn't it? A noble declaration of intent. But the moment you make this decision, be prepared for a mutiny. Your own mind, the faithful servant that has protected you for so long, will scream at you. It will flood you with images of chaos and disaster. It will warn you that this path is foolish, dangerous, and insane. It will tell you that if you open that door, the monsters will rush out and devour you, that you will lose control, that you will become the very thing you fear. And here is a difficult truth. There is a genuine danger on this path. But it is not the one your fear is telling you about. The real danger isn't in meeting your shadow. It isn't meeting it incorrectly. I will show you the one crucial mistake you must avoid in just a moment. This decision to turn and face yourself is the true beginning of adulthood. It marks the profound transition from being a passive object, a piece of clay molded by the pressures of family, culture, and fear, to becoming an active subject, the responsible sculptor of your own character. It is choosing the terrifying freedom of the open ocean over the stagnant safety of the harbor. This path demands a courage you may not believe you possess. It requires a brutal, unflinching honesty with yourself. But it is the only path that leads to wholeness. It is the ultimate act of responsible stewardship over the one soul you have been given to tend. Now, for that crucial mistake I mentioned, the fatal error that turns this journey of healing into a journey of destruction. It is the mistake of identification. The danger is not in meeting your repressed anger. The danger is in declaring, I am my anger. The danger is not in acknowledging your capacity for envy. It's in letting envy become your identity. The goal is not to let the shadow climb out of the basement and take over the house. The goal is to bring it into the light of your awareness, to understand it, and to integrate its energy. You are not your perfect persona, and you are not your messy shadow. You are the self, the vast, conscious, loving container that is large enough to hold both. You are the quiet, observing presence that can look at the mask and say, this is a useful tool, and look at the shadow and say, this is a wounded part of me that needs attention. Your consciousness is the sacred space where these two opposites can finally meet, not in conflict, but in a holy union. By acknowledging the darkness within, you do not become it. You gain power over it, so it can no longer control you from the shadows. The moment you make this courageous choice to become a whole, integrated person, The moment you decide to live in truth, something miraculous begins to happen. The world around you, which may have seemed cold, random, and indifferent, appears to shift. It's as if the universe, or perhaps something greater, has been holding its breath, waiting for you to turn around. And when you finally do, it exhales and begins to conspire in your favor. Have you ever experienced it? A strange coincidence that feels like so much more than just chance. A book falling off a shelf, open to the exact page you needed to read. Hearing the same obscure phrase 3 times in one day. A sudden encounter that opens a door you thought was locked forever. What if these are not random accidents? In the next part, we will explore one of Carl Jung's most mystical yet intensely practical ideas. We will discover how the world itself begins to speak to you in a hidden language of signs and symbols, guiding your steps once you finally answer the call to become who you were truly meant to be. Part 6. When the universe starts leaving you. Breadcrumbs. You have answered the call. You have stood still, turned around, and chosen the terrifyingly beautiful path of returning to yourself. But as you take those first uncertain steps back into the wilderness of your own soul, a strange and wonderful thing begins to happen. You realize you are not walking alone. The world, which may have once seemed cold and indifferent, suddenly starts to participate in your journey. It begins to speak to you not in loud commands, but in quiet, uncanny whispers. Carl Jung gave this phenomenon a name, synchronicity. At its simplest, synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence. It is a moment when an event in the outer world aligns perfectly with a thought or a feeling in your inner world, with a timing so precise it sends a shiver down your spine. It's the experience of wrestling with a decision that feels like a crossroad for your very soul, only to open an old book and have a single sentence leap off the page, speaking directly to the heart of your dilemma. It's having an old friend you haven't spoken to in a decade cross your mind for no reason, and a minute later, your phone rings with their name on the screen. Now, the purely rational mind has a neat and tidy explanation for this. It's just confirmation bias, it will say. You're simply noticing patterns because you are actively looking for them. And in a sterile clinical sense, this is not entirely wrong, but it is a truth that describes the mechanism while completely missing the miracle. It explains how the breadcrumb appeared on your path, but it doesn't dare to ask why you suddenly have the eyes to see it, or who might be leaving them for you in the first place. This skeptical view sees the gears of the clock but refuses to acknowledge the intelligence of the clockmaker. These moments are not random quirks of a chaotic universe. It is far more personal, far more profound than that. Think of them instead as whispers of providence. They are gentle echoes in the physical world of a conversation you have finally started in the spiritual world. By choosing the path of wholeness, the sacred journey of becoming who you were created to be, you have tuned your heart to a new frequency. You have begun to align your personal will with a far greater divine will. You have started to listen. And so, the world, orchestrated by a loving hand, begins to speak. These synchronicities are the quiet affirmations that your signal is being received. They are the tangible evidence that when a soul sincerely seeks truth, truth sincerely seeks that soul in return. So, what is the true purpose of these meaningful moments? It is not to tell your fortune or to magically solve your problems. Their purpose is far more sacred and far more practical. They are a confirmation of alignment. Each synchronicity is a quiet nod from God. It is a wink from the author of your story, affirming your last brave decision. It's a way of saying, yes, that difficult choice you just made, the one where you chose painful truth over comfortable illusion, that brave step you took back towards honesty, that was it. You are on the right path. Keep going. It's like a compass needle shivering for a moment before locking firmly onto true north, confirming you are heading in the right direction. It's not meant to make the path easy, but to give you the strength and faith to walk it, especially when it is hard. It is a tool for building trust, not in magic, but in your own God-given intuition, which is now being calibrated to a higher purpose. These signs are a profound grace, a lamp under your feet in the darkness. But a lamp only illuminates the next step. It doesn't take the step for you. A map is a priceless guide, but it is not the treasure itself. These breadcrumbs of providence point the way, but they do not do the work for you. They show you where the gold is buried, but you are still the one who must pick up the shovel and dig. So how then do you perform this sacred alchemy? How do you take the heavy dark lead of your shadow, your anger, your fear, your shame, and begin the difficult work of transforming it into the pure, shining gold of your true self? In the next part, we will uncover the practical art of turning your deepest wounds into your greatest strength. Part 7. How to find gold in your own darkness. We have spoken of the shadow, that basement full of your disowned parts. But we are not here to simply stare into the abyss. We are here to find the gold that lies within it. For every dark, heavy piece of lead you have hidden in that basement, there is a corresponding treasure of pure gold waiting to be reclaimed. This is not about celebrating your flaws. It is about courageously understanding their purpose. It is the ultimate act of responsible stewardship. Take your anger. For years, you have been asking, how do I get rid of this anger? How do I suppress it? How do I stop feeling this way? These are the questions of a prisoner. The alchemist asks a different question entirely. What is this anger trying to protect? What boundary within me has been violated? You see, your anger is not your enemy. It is a fierce, loyal, and often misunderstood guardian. It is the watchman on the walls of your soul. Its roar is not a sign of your brokenness, but a signal that something you hold dear, your dignity, your values, your peace, is under threat. The work is not to silence the guardian, but to listen to its warning and then act with wisdom, not blind rage. When you understand the reasons for your anger, it is at that very moment that this anger will stop screaming and subside. Now, consider your envy, that sharp, shameful pang you feel when you see another person's success. The question you've always asked is, how can I stop being so envious? What is wrong with me? This is the question of shame. The alchemist asks, what does my envy show me that I truly desire? What beautiful part of my own God-given potential have I neglected? What path is it pointing me back towards? Your envy is not a sin to be buried. It is a map to your own unlived life. It is a painful but honest compass needle, shivering and pointing directly at the treasure you have forgotten to dig for in your own backyard. It is a desperate call from your own soul, begging you to stop looking at other people's gardens and start tending to your own. This process of owning your shadow, of listening to its messages, is the most empowering work a person can do. But there is a subtle and devastating trap that so many fall into right here. They turn this sacred work into just another intellectual exercise. They analyze their shadow, they label it, they talk about it, but they never truly feel it. They keep it at a safe clinical distance. There is, however, one simple, profound practice that bypasses the overthinking mind and allows for true, heartfelt integration. I will share it with you in just a moment. First, you must understand this. Every negative trait you have cast into the shadow has a flip side. It is a powerful energy that has become distorted because it was left in darkness. Your stubbornness, which you despise, is the raw material for incredible perseverance and unwavering faith. Your oversensitivity, which you see as a weakness, is the very source of your compassion and deep empathy. The chaos you fear within you is the untamed wellspring of your creativity and innovation. The goal is never to eliminate these parts of yourself. That would be like a carpenter throwing away his strongest wood because it is gnarled and unshaped. The goal is to bring this raw material into the workshop of your conscious awareness, to purify it, to sand it down, to shape it, to use its powerful energy for a purpose you choose rather than letting it control you from the darkness. You have been a house divided against itself. This is the sacred work of making that house whole. So, what is that practice? The one that bypasses the intellect and speaks directly to the soul. It is the simple, ancient art of journaling. From the shadow's perspective, take a pen and paper. Find a quiet space and give your shadow a voice. Ask it directly as if you were speaking to a lost child. What do you want from me? What are you so afraid of? What are you so angry about? And then you write. Write down whatever comes without censorship, without shame, without judgment. Let it be illogical. Let it be childish. Let it be furious. You will be absolutely stunned by the profound wisdom, the deep pain, and the incredible power that emerges when you finally give your oldest secret a chance to speak its truth in the light. So you do this work. You face your shadow. You perform the alchemy. You integrate its power. You follow the signs of providence. What happens then? What is on the other side of this dark and difficult journey? What does it actually feel like to stop losing your life and start living it? In our final section, we will paint a picture of the ultimate freedom, the profound peace and unshakable value that you have been searching for all along. Part 8, the ultimate freedom, living your own story. And so, we arrive at the end of the path. After walking through the mirrored halls of the persona, after descending into the basement of the shadow, after listening to the whispers of providence, what is the great prize? What is the ultimate reward for this difficult, sacred work of returning to yourself? Do not be mistaken. The reward is not a life of perpetual smiling happiness. It is not an escape from pain or a magical immunity to the struggles of being human. The prize is something far more precious, far more resilient, far more real. It is a life of wholeness. It is the quiet, unshakable feeling of standing on your own 2 feet psychologically. Imagine an old great oak tree. For years, you have been a leaf attached to a branch tossed about by every gust of opinion, every storm of criticism, every changing season of social approval. Now, you are no longer the leaf. You are the oak tree itself, rooted deep in the rich soil of your own truth. The winds of judgment may still blow, and they will, but they no longer threaten to carry you away. You have your own center of gravity, and it is anchored in the bedrock of who you were created to be. You become fearless in a way you never thought possible, not because you are arrogant, but because you are no longer hiding. When you have faced your own shadow, when you have brought your darkest corners into the light of your own compassionate awareness, the accusations of others lose their sting. They can't expose you because you have already exposed yourself to yourself. There is nothing left for them to find. You have traded the frantic, exhausting work of impression management for the quiet, solid peace of integrity. This sounds like a superpower, doesn't it? To be immune to the praise and blame of the world. But this profound inner freedom comes with a consequence that your old self, the one desperate for approval, would find terrifying. To achieve this wholeness, to truly stand in this power, you must first accept a painful truth. You will have to disappoint some people. Why is this necessary sorrow actually the greatest testament to your success? The answer is the very key that unlocks the door to this ultimate freedom. Before we unlock that door, picture this new life. You begin to discover a new kind of joy. It is not the fleeting, frantic high of getting what you want, the promotion, the praise, the new possession. It is the deep, abiding contentment of simply being who you are. The shallow connections, based on the performance of your mask, wither and fall away. In their place, deeper, more authentic bonds begin to form. Relationships founded on the rugged, beautiful terrain of truth, where two whole people meet without pretense. Your work, whether you are a carpenter, a doctor, or an artist, ceases to be a mere job. It becomes a vocation, a channel through which your authentic self flows into the world. You don't lose your anger, your sadness, or your fear. You simply learn to dance with them. You learn to hear the wisdom in their voices without letting them seize control of the dance floor. You stop seeing life as a problem to be solved and begin to experience it in all its messy, unpredictable glory as a grand adventure to be lived. So why then must you disappoint others to claim this life? Because for your entire life, you have given other people a pen and allowed them to write chapters in the sacred story of your life. Your parents, your friends, your culture, they have all been contributing authors. In becoming whole, you are not being cruel. You are simply and finally revoking their writing privileges. You are taking the pen back into your own hand. Your life is no longer a democracy to be voted on by a committee of external opinions. It has become a constitutional monarchy, a sovereign kingdom where you, guided by your conscience and your deepest values, are the responsible ruler. The disappointment you see in others is the sound of their expectations breaking against the solid shore of your authenticity. It is the sigh of their own unlived lives, stirred by the sight of your courage. It is the noise of the invisible prison bars rattling as they realize their power over you has vanished. The sound of their disappointment is the true sound of your freedom. It is a sacred and even sorrowful sound. But it is the necessary music that plays when a soul finally comes home to itself. You now have the map. You understand the prison of expectation, the mask of the persona, the power of the shadow, and the path toward wholeness. You have seen how the world itself leaves you breadcrumbs of clues when you walk this path with a sincere heart. And so, the only question that remains is this: will you spend the rest of your day studying the map? Or will you finally find the courage to begin the voyage? Part 9. Your life is calling. Will you answer? We have walked a long and sometimes shadowed road together. We began in the invisible prison of expectation, a cage built from the quiet whispers of should and must. We unmasked the perfect, smiling warden of that prison, your persona, and understood how it starves your soul while earning the world's applause. We dared to descend into the basement of your psyche to meet the disowned and powerful shadow, learning that what irritates us in others is a map back to ourselves. We have felt the haunting presence of the unlived life and understood that its pain is not a curse, but a rescue mission from your own soul. But Carl Jung did not create a system for the intellectually curious. He did not draw a map for tourists who wish to simply observe the landscape of the human spirit from a safe distance. He drew a map for the courageous, for the ones who are ready to stop reading about the journey and finally take the first terrifying step onto the path. That feeling we've spoken of, that deep, gnawing sense that you are losing your life, that your days are slipping through your fingers like sand. This is not a symptom to be medicated. It is not a flaw to be fixed. It is the most sacred and urgent invitation you will ever receive. It is your soul, in an act of profound love, grabbing you by the shoulders and begging you to wake up. It is the call to come home. Look at the pieces now laid out before you. You have all the parts for a magnificent life. You have the persona, your capable social interface with the world, a necessary and useful tool when it is your servant, not your master. You have the shadow, the vast, raw, and powerful wellspring of energy you have banished into darkness. This is not your enemy. It is your exiled strength, your misunderstood power, the buried chest of gold that holds the very vitality you've been missing. And most importantly, you have the self, the conscious, observing presence that is listening to these words right now, the calm, spacious awareness that is vast enough to hold both the light and the dark. You are not the mask, and you are not the monster. You are the sacred space where they can finally meet and be made whole. So we arrive at the only question that has ever truly mattered, a question not of intellect, but of courage. Will you continue to live for the applause? Will you choose to remain in the beautifully decorated, tragically comfortable, and soul-crushing prison of other people's expectations? Will you keep polishing the mask while a person underneath slowly, silently suffocates? This path is safe, it is predictable, and it is a living death. Or will you answer the call? Will you take the first terrifying step into the wilderness of your own being to reclaim the gold that is rightfully yours? This is not an invitation to selfishness. It is a call to the highest form of responsibility, the sacred stewardship of your own soul. The gold you find in your darkness is not for you alone. When you reclaim your authentic anger, you find the fuel to protect the innocent. When you reclaim your authentic grief, you find the wellspring of compassion. When you reclaim your authentic joy, you become a source of light for a world desperately in need of it. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and this journey is the sacred work of filling your cup to overflowing. Your real life is not lost. It has not abandoned you. It has simply been waiting. It is like a promise you made to God in the moment of your creation, a promise to become the fullest, most authentic version of the person you were made to be. That promise is still there. It has been waiting patiently for you to be brave enough to turn around and begin the journey home to claim it. The map has been unfolded. The path is clear. All the knowledge, all the insights, all the videos in the world cannot take the first step for you. That power, And that responsibility belongs to you and you alone. The journey starts now, in this very moment, with your very next choice. Your life is calling. Will you answer?